What is going on, guys? Gamers Goon here today, and today we're transitioning from the wrestling content, and we are going to be talking about the NBA Conference Finals. We got the Eastern Conference Finals, and we got the Western Conference Finals. I waited to put this video out until after we knew who was going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and unfortunately, that means we already have one game decided within the Western Conference Finals because on Sunday we had a 2:30 game between the Clippers and the Suns, and we're going to start it off there. Both teams, man, they've been slightly impressive. They've been slightly impressive during this playoff run. Both teams kind of riddled with unfortunate situations. The Suns, right after they advanced, right after they won last series, it came out that Chris Paul was going to have to miss some time due to the safety protocols, health and safety protocols, because of obviously the pandemic, some sort of complication, within that. Hopefully Chris Paul is vaccinated. Hopefully Chris Paul is good, and hopefully we can see him on the court by game 2, game 3. I don't even know if he's going to be playing tomorrow, but hopefully we get to see some Chris Paul out there. Then we got the Clippers, man. We got the Clippers. The Clippers are a completely different situation. We saw late in the game, going in when they won their series, we saw late where they were when they were coming back. Because you got to remember, the Clippers coming into this, man, they've been going of a distance with people, man. They've been slow starting in series, but they're finishing strong. And we saw in that series, man, against the Jazz, that Kawhi, he kind of like tweaked his knee at one point towards the end of that game. And then we got a report, the same day we got the Chris Paul report, that Kawhi was going to miss game 1. Now, I haven't heard any updates on the Kawhi situation since the last one that I've heard, but they're still listing him as that day-to-day kind of. They're listing him as potential. He has potential to change. They haven't ruled him out all year for the rest of the year, but from the rumors I've been hearing, they're fearing a torn ACL with Kawhi Leonard. There has been no confirmation of that. I don't know where the confirmation has been. I'm very surprised we haven't got a confirmed statement from the Clippers organization whether or not Kawhi is done for the season. I have no idea what we're doing with that. But going into that, obviously, it made this series a little bit up in the air. And it made this series a little bit up in the air because you're playing without two of the best players on the court, two of the 3 best players in the entire series. Because there's only one other player in that series that even can make a claim for being the best player in that series. I'm sorry, PG-13, Paul George, it's not you. It is the guy that, rightfully so, earlier today, Stephen A. Smith said it kind of reminds him of a Kobe. And that is Devin Booker, man. Devin Booker yesterday went out and he got himself a triple-double on Father's Day. The first Suns player to do it since Steve Nash, I believe. Devin Booker, man. Devin Booker, this guy is on a mission. He is on a mission. You were sitting there. There was a lot of people sitting there. Now, I wasn't part of this group. Y'all know me. I love D-Book. But there's a lot of people sitting there questioning whether or not D-Book was even good. If it was just empty stats, this, that. Because at the end of the day, the Suns weren't winning basketball games. And then you look at the Suns now, man. What did they do? Devin Booker's out there playing at a top 10 level, top 5 level, not even top 5. He might be the best player in the entire playoffs right now. You're looking at Ayton. Ayton's coming in. He's delivering. He's giving you big minutes offensively. He's playing okay defense. You look at Mikal Bridges playing very good when you need him to. You go to the bench. You got Cam Payne playing really good basketball. You have Jay Crowder out there playing really good basketball. Just all up and down that roster, man. They're competitive. They have Cam Johnson out there outworking everybody. And I said it once they went 4-0 in the last series. It's gonna be tough to beat them, man. It's gonna really be tough. You got to beat them 4 times. That's gonna be tough. But the Clippers, I think they got a shot. They got a shot. Paul George is not playing like the Paul George that everybody's memed him to be. That he's, oh, there's playoff P. There's pandemic P. That's not Paul George right now. Paul George right now is playing like Paul George should be playing. Paul George right now is playing like Indiana Paul George. He's going to go out there. He's going to make his big shots. He's going to go out there. He's going to have 30. Paul George isn't a meme right now, man. He's not. Paul George is honestly one of the biggest reasons that they're still in the playoffs. Once Kawhi goes down, who would think that Paul George is going to go out there and be leading the team like that? Oh, I definitely didn't expect that. I did not expect Paul George to come out there. He finished off the last series against the Jazz. And then he came out there and he's playing well this series. He played well yesterday. But the Clippers, man, I gotta say, I gotta give it to something, man. That band, Terrence Mann, woo, I did not know that man was capable of what he did do the other day against the Jazz, man. I did not know he was capable of that. They were down big. It looked like, hey, we're going to Game 7. It looked like it was going to be Donovan Mitchell, one more chance to go on and continue fighting for the playoff legacy that could be birthed here. But Terrence Mann, gave us one of the best playoff performances of the entire playoff run. I think he finished with 39 points. I think it was a little bit under 40. But Terrence Mann was out there. He was hitting big shot after big shot after big shot. It did not matter who was on him. Terrence Mann was going out there and he was making big buckets. And you got to hand it to a guy like that, man. You're sitting there, you're worried about the Paul Georges. You're sitting there, you're worried about Nick Batum because you know he could get going. You're sitting there and you're worried about maybe Luke Kennard coming in and hitting a 3 here or there. You're worried about all these guys. And then you got this younger guy that you probably don't have much respect for. I'm going to be honest with you. Terrence Mann has been getting minutes, don't get me wrong, but you're probably not sitting there and worried about that happening to you. Because you got to worry about a playoff Rondo out there. You got to worry about Reggie Jackson. You got to be worrying about a bunch of different Patrick Beverly. And the guard they went with was the youngest one, Terrence Mann. And I don't think the Jazz are ready for that. And unfortunately, they didn't get the job done Game 1 against the Suns. Very close game. But Terrence Mann's playing basketball, man. He is playing some very good basketball. So you look at both of these teams, man. They're hitting on all cylinders. I'm going to argue with some people. I don't know if it's going to be a fair argument, but I would argue that Paul George, the few games we've seen as Paul George has been the explosive leader, and we've had to see guys like Terrence Mann step up. I'm arguing that Clippers team is better than the Clippers team we saw with Kawhi just a few days ago, just a few games ago. This Clippers team is different without Kawhi, but I think it's a better thing for them. Obviously, you want Kawhi to come back. That's the main goal. You want Kawhi to come back. And that could be a luxury. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go back to old, because this is forcing players to be able to step up. That's what this is able to do. So it's coming out there. So when Kawhi, if Kawhi can come back, you got players down the line that's confident in themselves. You got Reggie Jackson saying, you know what, I drove right into Rudy Gobert and was getting buckets. You got Terrence Mann going out there. You know what? We're playing one of the best defensive teams. We're playing the best team going into the playoffs. And I was getting buckets. I had nearly 40. You got Paul George saying, you know what? I was leading that team. I'm still that guy. There's no doubt anymore there. They know they can handle it. They know that they can win. And you don't have to rely solely on Kawhi Leonard. So if Kawhi can come back, maybe that's a dangerous situation for the Suns. Maybe. But to me, man, you can't lose a series if you got Devin Booker out there playing at the caliber he's playing. When you got DeAndre Ayton out there playing the way he's playing, Mike Cal Bridges out there playing the way he's playing. You got Jay Crowder out there getting in people's heads. When you got all this talent, man, that the Suns have. The Suns, they have some of the best talent there left in the playoffs. And talent really hasn't been necessarily the thing that's been winning in the playoffs. It's been who has the deepest roster. And the Suns, out of almost all the teams left, I would argue, outside of Milwaukee, have the deepest roster. And I think that could be very favorable for the Suns, because if you can force them to be a little bit uncomfortable, you can force Paul George to have a little bit of an off night, you're probably winning. If you can force Terrence Mann to lose a little bit of that confidence, you're probably winning. So I think the Suns are going to win. I don't think it's going to be another 4-0 situation like the Suns had last run. I think that they're going to probably go 6. I think they'll go 6. I don't think they'll go 7. I'll be shocked if they go 7, honestly. The only way I see it going 7 is if Kawhi shows up. But I expect them to go 6 there. I expect to see Chris Paul probably by game 4. And I think Chris Paul is probably going to be coming back to a 2-1 situation. I think the Suns will probably win their next game at home. They're going to be up against the... They're going to be up against them. They're going to put them up against the wall there. They're going to have the Clippers down 2-0, going back home. Clippers going to pick one up. Suns are going to pick one up in LA. And then I think that we're going to see one more being picked up for the last fight for the Clippers. And then, obviously, the closing of the series in Game 6. Chris Paul will be there. In my opinion, I think he will be there. If the Suns make it to the finals, I don't think we have any questions, concerns, or anything about Chris Paul missing the time there. I would be shocked to see that. But, man, we are just a few days, about a week maybe away from seeing some new faces in an NBA Finals. We're going to be either seeing Paul George out there, man. We could be seeing Paul George out there with Terrence Mann, Nick Batum, Zubac, Reggie Jackson. Or we could be seeing a new face, new team, new thing over there too. Because you got to remember, the Clippers, if the Clippers win, this is the first time they made it to the finals. The Suns, they made it to the finals before. Little Charles Barkley, he's very familiar with the finals. He might have lost to my hometown team. He might have lost to Chicago. Who knows? Who knows what MJ did to that guy, man? But the Suns, they got a chance. They got a chance, man. I think this team's it's a different team, man. It's special. You knew coming out of that bubble, 8-0 in the bubble, man. Nobody was giving them respect because they didn't make the bubble playoffs. But that team was tough. That team turned a switch somewhere along the line. And I don't know where that really came from. But ever from that moment, the Suns have been tough to beat, man. I think that's where it all clicked with them. I don't know how it clicked. I don't know what sort of conversations were being had during the pandemic, during the cancellation of the sport. But that bubble, man, that changed what the Suns are for. It changed the path that they are on. And it's very interesting to see, man, because we could be seeing DeAndre Ayton out there with Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, all these young guys, and Chris Paul finally getting an NBA championship at the end of the day. That'd be pretty cool. Everybody in this play, the only team I'd rather not see, I don't want to really see the Clippers because Kawhi has his championship. I want to see one of these young guys get a championship. I want to see a Giannis. I want to see a Trae Young. I want to see a Booker, man. Because obviously, I mean, yeah, Chris Paul is a little bit older there too, but Paul George can still get one. They have a chance. But Kawhi, their main players already got one, so I would just like to see some new young faces take over one playoff for a moment. So that'd be pretty cool, man, to see Devin Booker and company win that championship. I got them going in 6. I got the Suns in 6. Sorry to my boy that became a little bit of a celebrity with the Suns in 4 guy. It's gonna be Suns in 6. And it should be a good series, man. Should be another good series that we got on our hands. That means now that talked about the Suns and the Clippers, I told my friend JT Dangerously that I had a lot to say about the Clippers and the Suns. So that was about 15 minutes there. Whereas I don't really have as much to say about the Hawks and the Bucks. But you look at both of these teams, man. They are teams that have struggled and fought and clawed their way in here, man. 2 Game 7s. You look at the Hawks, man. They went up against potentially the favorites to make it to the finals out of the Eastern Conference, outside of the Nets, the Sixers, man. They went up against the 76ers, and I'm gonna be honest with you, the Hawks. They more than likely, if we're being honest with ourselves, just ruined the entire 76ers organization. Why do I say that? Because the Hawks literally made Ben Simmons look so bad. Ben Simmons had by far one of the worst series in all of the playoffs. I believe he shot under 35%, averaging about 9-point-something points a game. Everybody was mad at him. Joel Embiid, after the game, said, how do I say this? I feel like the turning point was when we had an open shot, an open dunk, and somebody passed the ball. Who is he talking about? Who could he be talking? Oh, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons had a wide open dunk. He goes up, he turns around, he sees two people trying to come from the side, and sees, well, my guy's diving. Rather than just getting an easy layup here, dunking a ball, whatever, I'm going to try to pass through two guys. He passed through two guys, foul, and they're going to the line, makes 1 of 2. Then we see Trae Young go on a little bit of a run there with the Hawks. So the Hawks single-handedly made this guy seem terrible. Terrible. Everybody's on Ben Simmons' tail right now. Everybody's sitting here, oh, he's going to China. Oh, he's going to Shanghai for the Sharks, man. Oh, he better be hoping that they keep him. Oh, he's getting traded. Oh, look at the G League. There's all that stuff going around with Ben Simmons right now, man. You got to feel for the guy. Is he a bad basketball player? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He is a basketball player that struggled severely in that playoff run against the Hawks. He struggled severely. And he's probably going to have to pay some sort of consequence, whether that's a trade, whether that's being released in another team signing him, because you're not going to be sitting there making 20+ mil with the 76ers if you're the one not making the thing work. Because I thought going into it that probably Tobias Harris was going to be the odd man out, because Ben Simmons go out there, he can give you a triple-double. You got Joel Embiid, who arguably is one of the best players in all of basketball. You wouldn't drop Joel Embiid. You're not trading Joel Embiid. So that leaves Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons, and I thought it was going to end up being Tobias Harris at the end of the day because of all this other. Yeah, Ben Simmons doesn't have necessarily the shot, but he has all this other style to his game. He can go out there and he can get you 10 boards. He can go out there and he can get you 10 assists. He can play point guard. He can play power forward. Ben Simmons is just a guy that can do all that, but the Hawks single-handedly made this guy look like a chump. He looked terrible. The Hawks literally made him look terrible. And I'm going to be honest with you, Trae Young did not look very great in Game 7 either. Kevin Huerter was the guy. Believe that or not. You going out there, man, and when I see that these players are stepping up, that makes me want to pick you more. When I'm looking at your team and I'm seeing, well, Trae Young's going 2 for 15. Yeah, he has 10 points, but he's still 2 for 15. And then I look at the score and I'm seeing like, well, we're still playing a close game here. Who's out here getting buckets? Oh, let's look at the box score. Oh, my, 24 points, 25 points right there for Kevin Huerter. He's keeping him in the game. You're getting buckets out of everybody, man. They're going out there. They're getting some good play out of Bogdanovich, man. They're going out there and they're digging in some deep stuff out of John Collins. I didn't know John Collins could hoop like he's been hooping. I did not know that. John Collins is not a guy that I imagine to be hooping at that level. Yeah, I think John Collins is good, but I did not think he was going to come out there in a playoff series and play that good of basketball that he's been playing. You look at Clint Capella. There's a lot of guys up and down that roster, man. I don't necessarily think they're the deepest team. Yeah, they got Lou Will back there. He can get you some buckets here or there. He's an experienced veteran. He'll go do what you need him to do. But look up and down that roster, man. It's a competitive roster. It doesn't look like an NBA Finals roster. It doesn't look like an Eastern Conference Finals roster. But that's the thing with this year, man. Anything and everything's been happening. The Hawks, they have the grit. They have something to them. That Nate McMillan coach team, man, I don't know what it is that Nate McMillan's got them doing in practice. But those guys have fight in them. They have fight in them. And that's dangerous in the NBA. That's very dangerous when you have a team that wants something. Because you see a lot of these teams, like the Nets, man. Yeah, the Nets did take the Bucks to 7. Yeah, they did, but they just expected them to roll over because they got KD and Harden. They just expect him to roll over. We don't got Kyrie, but you know what? We still got 2 of the top 10 players in basketball. We just expect to win the series. They didn't make any sort of adjustments. They're just out there. You know what, KD, you can go out there and drop your 48. You can go out there and do what you do. Harden, you can go out there and shoot. Harden wasn't shooting efficiently. You got to make adjustments for that. You can't sit out there and rely on 2 people to drop 40. That's not going to work. It doesn't always happen. You got to make other adjustments. And the Nets, they just did not do that. But you look over there and you see the Bucks, they made adjustments out there. Yeah, Drew Holiday was playing awful. But they got him into a rhythm late in the game. Yeah, Brook Lopez, he was playing terrible. He played terrible at the end of the fourth quarter. But they got him in there. They rotated him defensively. He made a big block, and he made up for it in the overtime. Then you got guys that are able to step in there. If you're the Bucks, you got Pat Connaughton able to step in there. You got Brand Forbes able to step in there and get you some threes, man. I mean, they're a deep team too. At the end of the day, you're not looking for somebody to be necessarily the most stacked roster. Not in this playoffs, man. You're not looking for the most stacked roster to win it. You're not looking for the top 5 names in this playoffs. You're not looking at it. They're saying, well, KD and Harden are around the same. That's not what's going to win this year. This year, it's not gonna be just because of 2 people. The league's got better. I'm hoping the league transitions to this. It's gonna be the deep teams. It's gonna be the teams that got momentum. It's gonna be the teams that fight. They aren't necessarily the best 2K team. They don't always have to have the top 2 of the 10 players in the league. They don't necessarily have to be this sort of super team type of thing. But they have to be working together. They gotta have depth. And that's what all these teams have. That's what every single one of these teams have. Some more than others, but every single team has it. The Bucks, in my opinion, have the best depth in all of the playoffs left. You can make an argument maybe there with the Clippers and the Suns too. The Hawks should not. I don't even know how the Hawks made it, but you can't discredit the Hawks, man. They've been fighting and they've been clawing and they've figured out a way. Whether it came to push or a shove, they figured out a way to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals when a lot of people didn't even think they would make it to the playoffs. A lot of people had them being maybe in the 8th seed, maybe playing in a play-in game. And they figured out a way to get out there. They figured out a way to beat the Knicks, take down the Knicks. They figured out a way to come out there. And they figured out a way to beat one of the best teams in all of basketball right now. You can't discredit that. You cannot discredit that. For the Hawks, they've had to come out and they've had to fight, man. They've had to fight. Yeah, they just got done in a series of 7 against the 76ers. Does that mean that they're gonna struggle? No. You know why they ain't gonna struggle? Because the Bucks just got done in a series of 7 too. Everybody's gonna be tired at this point. Everybody's gonna be tired. It's just who is gonna win because they got the more depth. And to me, I see the Bucks winning, man. I see it being a Giannis versus Devin Booker finals. I don't know who to rep, man. I got both men's jerseys. Those are my boys right there. But Giannis, hopefully all you guys have learned to put the Giannis slander behind us. Yeah, I know he struggled shooting free throws. He went for like 8 for 14 or something his last game. Yeah, I know it wasn't him that closed it out. It was Chris Middleton. But hopefully, you can't win a game without Giannis putting up 30, 15, and 10 or 5 or whatever his stats were. He was out there hooping. You can't win that game if it's not for Giannis doing what Giannis does. And there's a lot of people that every single time they have failed, even if Giannis has played pretty well, he has not had a Ben Simmons type of thing. He might have missed some free throws, but he has not had a Ben Simmons type of playoff run. He's always had good playoff runs. But people are like, oh, he don't got it. He don't got it because he's not beating them. He don't got it because he can't get that next game, man. He can't win the big one. Giannis can't get the big one. He couldn't beat the Heat. Couldn't beat this person. Let's put that behind us. Giannis has proved himself multiple times that he can show up in the playoffs. It's the NBA, man. It's the NBA. It's not necessarily just Giannis can't show up. There's a lot of other factors, man. You got to realize who he's going against. That Heat team was crazy last year, man. They were crazy. They were out there going insane. They had Tyler Hero acting like he was going to be some sort of superstar. They had Duncan Robinson making everything. They had Jimmy Butler playing like dang near the top 5 best players in all the NBA. Giannis is probably one of the most slandered players along with Devin Booker. Devin Booker received the same thing going into this year, man. Empty stats. He can't get there. He's not that good. It's the same thing we hear with Zach LaVine. It's the same thing you hear with Zach LaVine, and that makes it even better because Zach LaVine is going to go to the playoffs one day, hopefully, and he's going to have 30-point games. That's just the way it is. You sit there and you slander a guy, but once that guy makes it, he's going to make you look dumb. That's what Giannis has done. That's what Devin Booker's done. And I think them in the finals, man, that is going to be quite the show because those are two guys that a lot of people have said a lot of things about. But at the end of the day, man, they got the job done. They got the job done. It wasn't a LeBron James and Anthony Davis led team. It wasn't a KD, Kyrie, James Harden led team. It wasn't any of them. It wasn't the 76ers. It wasn't the best team in basketball, the Jazz. It wasn't them. When it came to push to shove, the guys that came through when their team needed it the most was Giannis and Devin Booker. I don't know how you can top that, man. I don't know how you can top that. Anyways, I'm going to get on out of here. About 27-minute video about going on about 20. I'm on my 26-minute halfway through. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed anything I've said. Social media is down below. And I'm going to get out of your hair. But it's been Gamers Goon. I'll be seeing you guys later tonight, actually, if you guys are into the wrestling content. Because I will be doing a Monday Night review. Raw review. So if you're into that, please check it out.